Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Bobby. We've got Rob, we've got Dave, we've got Mike. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Doing good, Bobby.
So tonight is episode 38. 38 holds a deep spot in my heart. Uh, my dad's two favorite numbers were 3 and 8. As many of you know, my dad passed away last Sunday, um, on September 8th at 3:38 p.m. And I want to thank each and every one of you that has reached out and shared their condolences, their thoughts, their prayers, everything like that. I can't thank you all enough. It has been one heck of a ride, and I miss him dearly. And episode 38 is going to be dedicated to my dad. And I want to thank Rob and Dave for everything that they've done for the last 3 weeks to keep the show in check. Sorry. Um, I really do appreciate each and every one of you very much. And with that being said, we have something special for you guys tonight. I've been waiting to share this. It's something special. It's something cool. It's not done, but it is a teaser for right now. So, Mike, Dave, Rob, hang on to your pants because this is going to get exciting. So, we uh we have something special here, and it's gonna go full screen, so give me 2 seconds and I will share it.
Yeah! In the business of my dream, I don't think that they're ready. Jeremy Clements is going to win at Daytona. Oh my God.
Here comes a young lady out of Lincoln, California, the 67, Kylie Glick.
Area 51 podcast. This Cap Hughes right here. Bobby, what you got for?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of that?
Man,
That
how
is our
bad is that?
And that is our new intro for Area 51 Racing Podcast. That is the teaser for right now, but I'll tell you what, that thing's exciting. It makes me smile every time I hear it. So
That's an
I can't tell
absolute
you who did it, not yet, but I just know that when it is announced, it'll be awesome. So I want to, like I said, I want to thank Rob. I want to thank Dave. I want to thank everybody that has made these last couple weeks. Um, it's been tough. It really has, but I can't thank you guys enough. Like I said. So with that being said, Mike, aka Magic, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what you do.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. It's an honor to be on such a special show. Um, I appreciate it. I'm from a little town in Forest Hill, Louisiana, originally. I drive the 16 Cup hauler for Colleague Racing. Several drivers this year, so it's a lot to keep up with all the different stuff. But yeah, that's what I do. Been doing it now for 4 years with Colleague, so enjoy being there. I like their vision. I like what they got going on. So it's been fun. A lot of hard work, but that's part of the sport in general. So
now we've got to see and obviously meet Jeremy's drivers and all that. And the actual prep that nobody sees go behind the scenes to the hauler. And I really like, I think it's Joe Gibbs does something on Facebook every once in a while where they show them, all right, this is how it's done. Has one ever fallen off? And they show them, lifting the car up, pulling it in there, putting all the gas cans and stuff in there. Kind of walk us through what it's like. All right, I'm driving down to, or up to, where we're at. New York for Watkins. Tell us how you start off your Monday and go pretty much all the way to Monday when you're back home and you're ready to go for another week.
Right. Usually my Monday starts with going to bed because by the time I get home from wherever we've been the week before, sometimes you get home at 4, 5, 6 o'clock Monday morning. So I'll be off Monday or the rest of that Monday, and usually Tuesdays depending on where we're going. And then I usually start my weeks will start on a Wednesday for the most part. We'll the first thing we do is go to the grocery store. Go to the grocery store, replenish all your waters, Gatorades, everything you need, to stock the hauler for the next track. And then I'll get to the shop Wednesday, and usually 3 or 4 o'clock, something like that. And the guys are pretty good about having the cars ready. Around 5, they try to get the cars loaded in the trucks. About 5, and so then you start, fire suits are back. You got to load the fire suits. You got to make sure you got all of that stuff. Double check your driver. For me, having different drivers, so you got to make sure you got the right, driver's fire suits in there. Taking care of all that. Your cooler, make sure all that's stocked, and you start loading the truck. We swap most of our parts and pieces out. We call it a turnaround, or turning the truck. So when we get back from the week before, I'll usually stay and do all of that work that night or morning, so that when I do come in on Wednesday, it's pretty much a streamlined process. All the parts are already on the truck, everything that we need. It changes from week to week, from track to track. So I'll make sure all that's on the truck. And then we start loading the truck, and it's everything goes in the same exact spot, the same exact order, just like it came off the week before. And it's cooler, scale cart, Celsius cooler, generator, what we call our utility cart, holds all the gas cans and stuff, and then toolbox, and then our fuel cart, and then we're ready to go. However far that may be.
Right. So the short tracks for you, like Atlanta, just a couple weeks ago, that's just a round trip for you. I'd imagine you can probably set the cruise control, and you're home at 6 o'clock that afternoon, and ready to roll.
Yep, pretty much. I think we left at like 8 o'clock that night for Atlanta because traffic's so bad, always going down that way. So we get there like 2 in the morning or something like that, I think. And our general weekend, it usually consists of first night you get there because of the time frame, and you'll sleep in your truck, and then they have a wash crew that comes around to the tracks and washes our truck. So the next morning you're kind of waiting on that guy to show up. He shows up, get your truck washed, and then you do your fluff and buff, dry it off, clean it, polish it, armor all the tires and wheels, and then be ready to park. So that's kind of how most tracks go.
Now, I know parking has changed a little bit, because I was at the Atlanta track. It seems to be more team oriented now, who you're parking next to, where it used to be based on points when you roll in. Is it better, like, hey, I'm going to park here every week, next to this truck, I'm going to follow this truck, and, and have your teammate be right next to you?
Yes. Yeah. That's something they started, I don't know how many years ago they started with the organizational stuff. They did it in Cup first. Took them a little while to bring that over onto the Xfinity side, which it's definitely way better knowing that pretty much who you're going to be beside every week. It does vary a little bit.
Because they got to feel like neighbors by the end of the season.
Oh yeah, you end up, all year long, you end up you end up pretty much by the same guys that you're going to be with like for the rest of the season. You know, you may
Well, what
flip
are you
flop
guys having for
practice.
dinner? What are you guys having for dinner?
Yeah, pretty much. What time you leaving for the next racetrack? You know, but you get to be really good friends with the guys that park around you. You know, because that's just and then you know there's a we call high rent district and a low rent district. You know, because the way the garage gets divided between the trucks and the teams, and there's a lot of times you might go to a track and you got friends over, you know, on a Gibbs or a Hendrick side or whatever, and you'll never see them. Like you won't never see them until race day or something when you're running fuel or something like that, just because the distance that gets between the trucks, you know, with the garages and stuff. And so when you're on your side, whatever side that may be, you end up that's just the guys that you know become closest to because they're the ones around you. So a lot of I don't know if a lot of people are aware, you know, with the I believe we park more on owner points than we really do on driver points.
Okay, I
Obviously,
wasn't aware of that.
I don't have a driver, so Daniel is actually leading the colleague owner points, if you will. So whoever Daniel gets in front of, he drag you know the 31 kind of drags me along right now. I'll pass them too because of the way the point system works. Um, so we always kind of pay close attention to that because you want to see, oh man, did you make up enough points to get by so and so? Because that's two trucks, you know. If you pass them, we all the my buddy Duck on the 51. We always kind of pick at each other because the 31 and the 51 sometimes they've been pretty close together, you know, just 2 or 3 points. And however one finishes, you know, to me that's 3 trucks. It moves me down the line 3 trucks if the 51 gets in front of the 31. So that pushes me down the line 3 trucks, you know. And then when Daniel passes them back, then I get my spots back, you know. So we kind of pick at each other about stuff like that. But it does the garage itself is the true driver points. So the order there in that garage, that's why a lot of times you know, the 5 car may be first and 9 second, but the 9 might be, you know, 4 garage stalls down from the 5. That's because it operates on the driver points, not the owner points. So sometimes has its perks.
So
Now,
what is a race day like for you as a hauler driver? Do they have you doing stuff at the track during the race, like in qualifying day, practice day, and race day?
Yeah. So once we get parked, you know, obviously we unload. You set all your stuff up, your toolbox, all that. Get all your fuel cans out, get your cooler, get everything completely set up. And then they'll go through tech. Some days are just tech days only, where we don't practice or qualify on that day. So it's a tech day only type thing. So then I make sure the guys have everything they need: jack stands, jacks, impacts, everything they need for, you know, NASCAR to do their inspection, and then we go through tech. Hopefully we pass the first time, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So, but then once we get through that, if it's a practice qualify, then we've got all of that certain amount of equipment: jacks, jack stands, generator, fan to cool it down on pit road, water for the guys to drink. All that gets brought out to pit road, and that we get all that set up. We have fuel. Have to have our fuel. Top it off after practice before qualifying, and once we go through that, and we drag it all back and put it all back and wait till race day, you know, on Sunday. And on Sundays I usually so I catch second can and then I run fuel for the pit stops. It varies depending on our strategy. If you're doing a 1 can stop, I'm gonna be the guy that runs up and rolls in the left front tire. If we're doing a 2 can stop, and I'm the guy that's at the back catching the first can coming back. So, and then also it's making sure everybody has what they need, or their radios charged. You know, nobody's battery's dead. Nobody's got a messed up cable. You know, for their earbuds or something. You know, it's just you have to be a jack of all trades and kind of a master of none, like to do this thing.
Yep, I was gonna ask you that too. I've seen a couple of episodes where the hauler driver is also the executive chef. Is that the case over at Colleague?
No, it's not. Thank God, because I wouldn't have time. I ain't have time to do no cooking. They have a lady that cooks for a lot of the teams. So that makes that really nice. For us, there are a couple people. I think Gibbs is still cooking. That's too much with everything you got going on and the time frame. That's a little too much in my mind. I'm glad I don't have to cook. Then you can't please everybody. So
No, I got you.
So with the e-logs in the trucks, how does that impact your driving to a track? I don't, and a lot of people may not know what an e-log is, but it's a electronic logbook that logs your hours, and there's so many hours that you're able to drive, and then you have to be down for so many hours and that stuff. So let's say you drive from North Carolina to somewhere out in the West Coast. Do you have like a co-driver that comes with you, or do you have to take that time period where you have to be down for so much time and have to like on your trip set up that amount of time period to make up for your downtime to make it to the track on time?
yeah, so I don't have a full-time backup guy. So we use contract guys, and I'm also fortunate that I'm able to use some of my friends from along the way that drive trucks as well. So I have a really good friend of mine, Rocky, down in Louisiana where I'm from. So anytime we go west, we have a designated meeting areas that allows me to get legally to where I need to get, and then he comes with me and finishes the rest of the wherever we're headed. So but we can drive 11 hours in a 14-hour window, and the first 8 you have to stop and take a 30-minute break. So but me and Rocky have been doing this for several years now, so we've learned where to meet when we're going to Phoenix. We got a place to meet, when we're going to Vegas, obviously 2 different interstates. So, but we've been able to we've got it pretty much spot on. Like we know exactly how long it takes to get from here to there, and who can drive in their window, and we've managed to just kind of make art out of it, get where we need to be.
Now,
I've always wondered how the impact of that e-log thing or the logbook would be on the teams because of the distance that you're traveling from coast to coast and the deadlines that you have to get to the track, how that all, if you had co-drivers or however that worked. So
yeah, so anything that's pretty much rule of thumb is anything that's going to be pretty much over 10 hours. Watkins Glen is a perfect example. Anything that's over that 10-hour window, we make sure that we have a co-driver. That way, because if you have a blow a trailer tire or anything like that, you could lose 2, 3, 4 hours on the side of the road, waiting for that to happen, which would directly affect, if you were just going by yourself, it would directly affect you not being able to drive legally, to get where you need to go. So we always err on that side to make sure. And then it gets back to the guys at the shop. They do a great job of getting the car loaded early enough to where you can leave early enough so that if you run into something of that nature, that you can still get to the track, on time. We've had some close calls where we were kind of close getting there because of we had a flat Sonoma this year. We had a flat when we got into California, and it was, I don't know, 3 hours or something by the time we got somebody out there to put a tire on, and I think we showed up with like 30 minutes to spare,
Phew.
and we left with good time, So
Now I'm guessing that you're not running the Portland route with your cup truck, because we've talked to Jeremy's crew, and they're like, that is the worst drive we've ever made in our entire life.
yeah, I've never done it personally. We run part of it because you don't really have a choice when you're going to Sonoma. You pretty much have to run that way, but then you fork off. So I've run 80% of it, I guess you would say. By the time you get all the way out there. But no, I haven't. That's one of the places I haven't been yet is Portland. So not really. I'm fine with that from what I can understand from talking to our Xfinity guys. So I'm good with that.
Are you excited to be going to Mexico City next year?
Actually, kind of, yeah, a little bit. I am. I work with some guys that did that back when they used to go. I know a lot of people aren't thrilled, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. I like going someplace new. I like seeing new roads. Obviously we travel the same roads a lot because we go to the same places a lot. And we'll go a different way just so we can go a different way, So it's kind of nice to look forward to doing something different. So
Now, if you were to put an estimated time on that upcoming trip, do you guys already have it figured out?
yeah,
Or we're gonna have a extra car on the West Coast to just bring straight down to?
well, we're actually coming from, I believe, Michigan.
Okay.
Before we go to Mexico. So we're gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to come back to the shop one way or the other for that deal. But right now, I think it's 33, 4, 5 hours. I think.
Holy cow!
Yeah, to get down there. So I mean, Phoenix is about the same, really. So.
Yeah, tell Mark to charter out a cargo plane and get that bad boy down there.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure. Like I say, I've heard some horror stories from some of the guys that's been in the sport long enough, to remember when they went, and so I like I said, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Change of scenery. That's a road we don't normally travel, so I look forward to it. So I'm hoping Rocky can go with me. Like I said, he lives in Louisiana around the Baton Rouge area, and that works out. It actually works out really great to try to plan it that way, and hopefully we always have a lot of fun when we're together. So we'll see what happens.
And then another nice thing is at least you have that long haul, but at least you don't have to go all the way to the Coliseum and back. You're going 2 hours to Bowman Gray Stadium, and that'll be probably one of the shortest trips for you all year.
Yeah, I think it's about 30 minutes. About 30 minutes, I think, for us.
Yeah,
that's kind of there are some perks to being all the way up in Welcome, and that's definitely going to be one of them.
Yeah.
So kind of looking forward to that too. I don't know how it's going to take place. With the parking and the things, like we scratched our head when we went to LA, like how the hell is this going to work? And,
right. Well, it's the same way with like Chicago. We were all talking about Chicago, how everybody was going to park, and then how far everybody was going to have to walk, and
Yep. city blocks. I believe it was at Chicago because we were all the way over by on the lake side. But that was interesting. That one for sure. It ranks right up there with Indy. So that's another rough one on truck drivers as far as location of truck versus location of pit road. So
Right.
those are pretty hard ones.
Right. And if nobody's ever been to Indy, it's suburbs all the way around Indy. There is not a freeway to get off of, and just go to the track like there is most tracks where you're like, la di da di da. Okay, there's the track.
Yep.
Like at Atlanta or Michigan. Michigan, you drive, an hour isolated. There's a gas station on the right, bar on the left. You better stop at one of them if you're thirsty or got to take a leak, because you're not hitting anything else until you get to MIS.
That's right.
Literally, so we just did this not too long ago. I went down State Route 12, State Route 12, and I'm just cruising. A gas station on the left, like you said, a bar on the right. There's maybe another thing up above, like closer.
Right.
Next thing you know, it's like 45 minutes, nothing. I'm like, okay.
That's why they say right in the middle of the rolling hills.
No shit.
Right.
So I gotta
Yeah,
ask,
definitely.
because I obviously I talked to Beth, and Rob has this question on here, and I started chuckling when I seen it. So, what's the craziest thing you've seen to and from to or from the track? Because Beth has told me a little bit about these. So, what's the craziest thing you've seen?
Man, I'll tell you what, one of the craziest things I've seen, we were coming from believe it was Kansas, and this has been 10 years ago. Petty still had the 9 car. So it was the 9 and the 43. And Danica was still running, so they still had the GoDaddy truck. And we were all coming back on the interstate. And this car, I guess, just hated. I don't remember who was driving. I don't know if it was Hornish or Ambrose. I don't know who was driving the 9 stuff. But they must have just hated. I don't know what. Because we're driving down the road, and we came up on this car, and there's 4 or 5 of us all together. And every time that 9 truck would try to pass this car would speed up and cut him off. Like, speed up, cut him off, speed up, cut him. It didn't matter what lane he went in, fast lane. It didn't matter. The car would pass cars just to purposely get in front of him. So finally, we were able to box this car in so that he could get around him, right? So he gets around, the car speeds up, and the next thing I know, they're throwing like Coke bottles, they're literally throwing shit. Going down the interstate at 70 miles an hour at him. And I'm like, we hadn't done anything. We simply came up on this car, and then it just started being an ass, So that's one of the more crazier things that I remember. Like, I just couldn't believe somebody would just purposely like be that way, to an 80,000 pound truck coming down the road, like be that way to somebody else. That was.
I could see that back in the day when, if there was let's say a certain 3 truck or a certain 24 truck, and you were on one side or the other.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I've been flipped off. I mean, yeah. But that's normal, when it depends on who you're pulling. But
because don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Kyle Busch fan, and living right off of 85, I get to see you guys more than the average fan does, and I've seen Kyle's truck go through every once in a while, and I'll lay on that damn horn and pump my fist out the window, and then if I see a certain driver I don't like, say as rhymes with Logano, I know that's not the truck driver's fault, but he's getting a bird,
Right.
just for having the truck. And
Right.
I think that's what's really cool about NASCAR is we're such fanatics of not only the driver but the brand and the make of the car. I mean it all rolls into as far as down to like you driving the truck. I mean,
Yeah, it's
because you got to see some rowdy fans too.
yeah, there's well, Watkins Glen is another one I keep coming back to. It's not as crazy as it has been in years past, but I don't know if y'all have ever been to Watkins Glen or not, but when the trucks, obviously we go around the racetrack because there's no tunnel for us to fit through there. So we actually go around, down through the S's and all that back down, I think turn one, and we come back out. And when you come out, they've always, because of traffic, they've always made the haulers turn left. And you got to go down this winding ass 2-lane road, like dodging tree limbs and stuff. But there's a group of people out there that it's a party. It is a party for them to wait for these trucks to come by. And there was one, they had this big dumpster with a bullseye in it, and it was like throw hat here. And then you come up on this other one, and there was a guy, he must have been 15 foot in the air on a damn telephone pole. And the telephone pole's like 3 foot away from the road. So he's our height, sitting in the truck. He's freaking, as high as we are in the truck. And there's people, lined up, drinking beer, like cheering you on when you go by. And this guy's hanging off a telephone pole with his shirt in there. Like when we go, he's flashing us as we go by. And I was like, God almighty, and it was like every year like that for several years, Of course, now with the timing of the races and stuff, it's dark. When we left there this week, obviously it was dark when we went through. There was a couple people still here and there, but not the bunch that used to be. When the races started earlier, we could leave a racetrack and it's still daylight, and so they're interested there for sure.
So how many miles a year do you end up driving approximately?
Anywhere between 50 and 60,000, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not as much as your average, over the road truck driver, because we do so much, over here on this side of the coast.
Yeah.
But it ends up being about that, somewhere in there. Especially when you have the Coliseum trips, things like that, thrown in. So, but yeah, that's about where we stay.
I know in 2023, my son and I and his girlfriend went to Road America, and we happened to pull out right behind all the haulers going home, and we were following them south on the freeway or interstate, and these guys were hauling the mail, and I like we're going like 95, and I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome. And I'm like, I can't believe that they're going this fast, but it was like the quickest I ever got from Road America to Milwaukee in my entire life. And
Right.
I'm a retired cop, so I was like, this is crazy. But I don't know if it was like they wanted to get home or what the deal was, but I was like, even in Milwaukee, they were like, they didn't slow down. It was just like, we're out of here. There was like 5 or 6 of them.
Right.
I can't remember all of them. They're all cup haulers, but yeah, they were flying. I was like, wow.
Yeah, a lot of us that you're just wanting to get home. Our trucks won't run that fast, so
Yeah.
we're more we can run 80 when it's 80, out on the West Coast, which helps tremendous when you're trying to get somewhere. So you can lay down, 700 plus miles almost in a shift when you get out that way. So that's a tremendous help versus some of the freight trucks and stuff you see, running 62 miles an hour. It's like, man, I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how they do that, but
Now, are there
Yeah.
any tracks that obviously you're gonna have to stop for fuel going down to Mexico, but can you make it to pretty much 60% of the tracks without stopping? Because that's got to be a hassle too, because you're in a NASCAR hauler and all you're trying to do is get fuel, and there's got to be fans out there, just wanting to get a picture with the truck, which I believe is super cool, because I'm one of those fans where, I'm not going to bother you, but I kind of want to get a picture next to the truck.
Yeah.
But is there a bunch of tracks where you're going to have to stop at, X gas station on the way there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we try to, like I said, we go to the same places like over and over and over. So um, we're fortunate that our trucks have we can carry 300 gallons of fuel on our trucks, which is great because we can go way further but you're still pulled back to your amount of driving time, right? So even though I could drive almost all the way to California, you're still gonna you gotta stop anyway. So we try to time that. You definitely never really want to stop for fuel in the daytime if you don't have to. So we'll always try to time, stopping at night with taking a 30-minute break, or when we're actually stopping to switch out. Anytime the truck needs to be stopped, we try to make the best use of that time, so that we're not just stopping because we need to stop to get fuel. So we always try to time that stop to where, hey, we had to stop. We're going to get fuel while we're here. That way we can keep going, because we can run. You can pretty much run about 17, 18 hours on
Wow.
fuel. So that's my full 11-hour shift and the co-driver's first 8-hour shift. So we try to time it to where it works out that way, and we can get fuel, to make that happen. So, but we'll go to, say, Bristol this weekend, right? So
You
we
can make
filled
it there
up.
and back and not worry about it.
Oh yeah. So I filled up. We filled up in Duncannon, I think, Pennsylvania. Pretty close to Watkins Glen, about 4 hours, maybe 3.5, 4 hours away. So we left there, went to Watkins Glen, came all the way back, and then we'll drive up to I think it's exit 24. There's a Love's there. We'll stop there, and we'll fill up there. Heading into Bristol, because we have to. Some teams, their generators are actually hooked to the tanks on the truck, which is kind of nice. And then some trailers, like my trailer, they carry a 55-gallon tank in the nose of the trailer underneath the generator. So that has to be full going in every week. Like, that has to be full. So I probably have enough fuel to go to Bristol and then come back without having to get fuel, but my generator needs fuel. So you're going to stop anyway. So those are some of the things that, you're constantly planning or doing, or, you probably, a lot of times you're always kind of laying up for the next week, So like this Bristol is laying me up for Kansas, because I have a place, I believe it's Fort Camels, where we usually get to before we swap out to do the second half of the shift. So I'll make sure I got enough fuel, get to Bristol, get home from Bristol, and get back to there before I have to stop. So no stops that aren't needed, basically, is how we try to do it.
Now for our casual listener, when you say you've got a generator in the nose, of the trailer, can you explain to them what that does or why it's got to stay running?
So it's just like what you need to run your house if the power goes out. I think ours is a 25K in the trailer I have. It rides in the very front of the trailer. It's a special Featherlight makes a special box. It's kind of like the refrigerated trailers you see go down the road. Same thing. It rides in the very top of the trailer, supplies all the power to the whole trailer, everything, lights, lounge, anything that takes power to run the lift gate to load the cars up and down. That generator is the heart of the trailer. If you have problems with that, man, it gets to be a nightmare. So it has to stay. It burns about, I don't know, depends on the timing of the garage hours to when it opens the next day, whether you leave it running all night or whether you cut it off. But it'll burn. Hell, I probably burnt 30 plus gallons out of mine this week. And that was a relatively short weekend for the most part for Watkins Glen. But so yeah, it's just another one of the things that you got to take care of as well.
All right. So up top, you've got room for 2 cars, and then the generator sits at the very tip over like the gooseneck area.
Yes, the generator is at the very, very front. It's actually mounted external to the trailer.
Oh, okay. Like an air conditioning unit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we have doors. We have doors that allow you access to it. Like I said, there's 4 doors, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. The generator itself is in the upper level, and then the lower level is all the fuel tank, all your house batteries. So there's batteries for powering the generator. I mean, to crank generator, but batteries to power the refrigerator. You got 12-volt lights in the lounge, 12-volt lights, so that if you have to stop on the side of the road, you don't have to crank the generator to be able to go up, check the cars and stuff. You do have lights, so we call them house batteries. So there's batteries for that. So the generator charges all that, every time you crank it. So
That's very cool.
So what,
they're pretty neat.
go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
was just gonna say they're a house on wheels, so it's pretty neat when somebody who's never we'll do some hauler tours and stuff, and people will come in and they just kind of stare in awe, because of one, it doesn't look like it has that much in it when you kind of look at it from the outside, but once you go inside of one and you see how they're laid out. Different teams have different ideas, and trailer manufacturers too, custom build, if you will.
But
Some trailers are totally
there's
different
not an
from my
inch of
trailer.
wasted space.
No, not at all. Like every single cabinet, there's something everywhere. I have things I've hidden from myself that I forgot I put in. It's like, damn, where'd I put that? And then it's 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, there it is. I mean, it's just so much. Sometimes it's just like you can hide stuff from yourself. So.
And that's what I was going to ask. What type of rig do you do you drive, the tractor, and then what type of trailer do you guys have?
Yeah, so we have the Freightliner Cascadias. Mine's a 2017. I had as a Detroit 15-liter it's a 13-speed manual. The trailer is a Featherlight. I think it's a 08 or 09. I believe it was originally the 29 Harvick trailer from RCR. It's funny, we were talking about these cubby holes, and hell, I think I maybe a couple of years. I've been in the same truck, same trailer since I've been at college, so 4 years now. And a couple of years ago, I was going through something in the lounge, and I opened up one of the doors, and I was like, man, I need some room, and I reached back in there, and I pulled out a whole PlayStation, the whole PlayStation, not I mean the old school PlayStation, big one, like all the controllers, all of this was shoved back up in a corner of that cabinet, and I had never seen it before. And I'm assuming it's been on there since the RCR days. I guess I don't know. I guess rain delays or whatever. They're up there playing video games. So before we had phones to do all this.
Did you at least turn it on and find out what was on it?
No, I have not plugged it in yet.
I'm gonna guess NASCAR. Let's see here. I'm gonna go
2001
2K.
or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the one with Tony Stewart on the front.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go that old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is. I put it back in there though. We still got it. So
Heck yeah. Now,
So,
obviously, when you were growing up, who was your favorite driver? I can't ask you who your favorite driver is now because obviously you have so many that you haul for. So, who was your favorite driver growing up?
oh, I was a 3 guy all the way. Yeah, I was an Earnhardt guy all the way. Yep, always was. Yep. I got more Earnhardt stuff put away than I can. I don't know what to do with all of it. Every time the tool man, I was growing up with my dad and stuff. So my dad kind of got me interested in racing when I was probably about 12 years old, and he took me to my first dirt track race, and I didn't know nothing about no NASCAR. Like we dirt track raced, and he got me interested in it. He was helping a local guy back from where we're from, and so he let me when I was 14. He let me. I worked all these various odd stuff, and I managed to build a race car, and obviously I couldn't drive it. So my dad had to race it until I had my license and I could drive. And anyway, we grew up dirt racing. That's what we did. We dirt raced, and I didn't really follow NASCAR that much. But I remember when I built the car, I was like, man, what number am I gonna be? What number am I gonna be? And I was like, man, I think I'm gonna be number 3. That's the number I want to be. And one of the local guys from a racetrack, he's like, man, he said, you can't be the 3. He's like, that's bad. He's like, that guy, I don't know if you've been watching racing, but he's just he's a rough guy. He's talking about senior. And so I let him talk me out of it. He told me I couldn't be the 3. So I think I was 27 or something like that. But as I got back into racing when I got older, the Days of Thunder movie had come out. So I was the 46 car, man. That was my car. 46 on everything I had was the 46 car. So, but yeah, I've always been an Earnhardt fan. So that's where I've always been. So it's kind of surreal to growing up, where we grew up, no asphalt to speak of anywhere. Like all we had was dirt. And then to move away and come up here, and then now I drive right by the RCR, and just I couldn't imagine what back then. I never came to North Carolina. I didn't. First race I ever went to, I think, was Atlanta when Earnhardt won the championship, and I think Morgan Shepherd won the race. So that was the first NASCAR race I'd ever went and saw. I was probably 18, 19. So it's been a few years.
Now, what brought you to the Charlotte area? Was it NASCAR, or was it something completely out of the blue? And then you said, I'm going to give this a try.
Well, like I said, I loved racing. That's all we lived. We raced every night we could. We raced anything, 4-wheelers, lawnmowers. It didn't matter. We raced everything. And just as I got older, things in life, and I remember watching a race one time, and I think it was Hammond. Hammond was talking about this 5 off, 5 on, pit crew U program, and they had up in North Carolina. Like, man, that sounds pretty cool, And I, being a mechanic, you changing wheels or something, you always trying to be a changer, trying to go as fast as you could. And I was like, man, I think I could do this, and, whatever. And so they used to have this, I think it was called Sound and Speed. They used to do in Nashville in the winter time. And so we got up there one year, and they had a little tire changer exhibit set up. And they, you do the tire and fastest time. So I won the thing, and you won a guitar. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. So I went back the next year. I won it again. Got another guitar. I said, man, this is pretty cool. I said, this might be pretty neat, to check in, And so I kind of checked into it, and I was like, you know what? I think that's what I'm gonna do. But I quit my job as a CNC machinist. I'd been there for 7 years, and I walked in one day. I said, man, I'm leaving in December. I'm moving to North Carolina. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I said, I joined this pit crew school. I said, I'm going to go up there and see if I can get a job in NASCAR. And he's like, okay, so that's what I did. I sold everything I had. Didn't have a job. Had never even been to North Carolina. We drove up here, found a house to rent out in Mount Ula. Rented a house, and I had enough money to live for about 3 months, and so that's what I did. But I had not a particular skill set, but I was ASE Master Tech. I had done CNC machining. I had my CDL from when my dad had, he had his own truck, so I used to help my dad, drive his truck, and I had always just kept the CDL. Did I ever dream that this would be what pays my bills and how I'd be in NASCAR? No, I always thought I'd be a mechanic. I love working on race cars, and that was my goal, was to work on cars. But truck drivers, they're hard to find in this sport. And I was working with motorsports group, and I had a friend of mine that had gone to the pit crew school with me. He was working there, and so he got me on, and so I was the underneath guy on one of the start park cars. And my very first day at work was a Wednesday. I went in, met everybody, went to work. We go to lunch. We come back from lunch. Crew chief comes. He's like, "Hey man," he's like, "You got your CDL, right?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "Good." He said, "I need you to go home, pack your clothes, because you got to take this truck to Kentucky tonight." I was like, "Do what?" He's like, "Yeah, our hauler driver quit." And he's like, "We got to be in Kentucky." And he's like, "Give me about 2 weeks, and I'll find somebody." He said, I know you were wanting a mechanic." I said, "All right, well, here we are 11, 12 years ago. And I'm a hauler driver. That's what I do. So glad it worked out that way. I kind of miss working on the cars and stuff. We were more involved before this next gen, or whatever you want to call this car, but truck drivers had a lot more hands on when I first got in the sport compared to what we do now with this car, and NASCAR's platform. The way we practice qualify all in one. We don't have all the practices and things we used to have back then. So somewhat, in a sense, it's got I don't want to say easier, but it's gotten better from the things that we used to have to do when I first started. So,
Well, I know that you're a very busy guy, and I have one last question for you. What is your social media platform where fans can follow you on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram?
So mainly it's Twitter, or X, whatever they want to call it, Trucker Magic. So I'm on there. Facebook, I kind of keep that for that's for home, you know. But mainly, I try to get on X and wear different tracks and post pictures of the truck and stuff. There's only so many pictures you can post of the same truck all the time. But I'm not the best at it, but I try to interact a little bit. And anytime anybody, asks me a question or whatever, I try to answer it when I see it. But yeah, that's usually where I'm at.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to, well, all three of us will be able to meet you one day at the track.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
All right, Magic. Well, it's very nice having you on. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I know
Thank
I
you, sir.
definitely learned something.
So,
I did as well. Thank you, sir, and safe travels the rest of the season.
thank y'all. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
All right.
So that was segment one. That was brought to you by Alliance Driveway Solutions. And now we have I want to say, how do I want to say it? It's a segment two Bobby, Dave, Rob kind of remix. This was kind of my idea. So if you look behind Dave, if you look behind myself, you see the Pocono car, or a piece of the Pocono car. I want to give a shout out to the Racing Warehouse, Spartan Waste, Fox Sports. Thank you guys for allowing us to be on that car. I know this is probably one of my favorite pieces in the world. Honestly, it's just so cool seeing our podcast logo on the race car, on the banners. It's so surreal. Dave, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, obviously you see what happened behind me. If you have watched the podcast, at least one or two times, that I'm the sheet metal guy. I love collecting pieces of cars. There's diecast guys. There's card guys. I like the actual pieces of sheet metal because every single one of them's got a story. But obviously, when we were able to get a piece of the Pocono car, which all three of us worked our tails off to get on the car. It's one of our proudest achievements, and obviously we couldn't do it without all of our sponsors and our fans. But it made me redecorate the whole wall. No longer do I have the big nose. I got Alliance up there, which I appreciate. Tate, I got Portland, Pocono. I think I got Martinsville down here, got Atlanta hanging up on the wall over here, but all that got switched over to have, like Bobby said, it's not often at all. And who knows, we might be able to do it again, but I definitely don't want to take it for granted. I'm very proud. And I was talking to Eric over at the Racing Warehouse, and he goes, how cool it is to have your name on something. Obviously, they sponsor, Jeremy's car, with the Racing Warehouse and Armadillo Embroidery, which is super awesome. And for them to do it like that, it's absolutely super cool. I know, Rob, you've got some of the car coming to you. You don't have it hanging up quite yet. But
I think it shipped today, it said, but I bought one of the corner pieces from the car. So I wanted Dave and Bobby to have the quarter panels. Obviously Bobby, is in charge of the podcast, runs the podcast. And Dave, you weren't able to be there, and you two did a lot of the work to do the square raffles and everything. So I felt that was appropriate for you two to both get the quarter panels. So that I was fine. I got to experience it firsthand, so I thought that was cool. And then yesterday, Emily had to post those corner nose pieces, and I'm like, you know what? I definitely need a piece of that car just because it means so much.
Yeah.
And then I also ordered a contingency panel while I was there too from the Robert Presley throwback car. I ordered that yesterday with that. So that one I felt that meant a lot to our podcast too, because
Yeah.
you know, Tate and LJ and everything that they did and have done for us. They, you know, had Robert Presley on the talk on our podcast. They revealed that on our podcast. They had Jeremy come on and talk about it. You know, Tate surprised me the other day and sent me one of the crew shirts because they didn't have any in my size at the time. So he sent me a crew shirt and this hat. I wondered what I was getting shipped from North Carolina. I told Bobby, I said, I wonder if I got something from Hunt Brothers again, like Hunt Brothers Pizza or something, because randomly I'll get a package. But then Tate goes, "Did you get the shirt and hat?" And I was like, yeah, you sent me a shirt and a t-shirt and a hat and stuff previously. I thank you for it, I thought. And he goes, "No, there's something else coming. I told you." So I can't thank him and LJ, Tate and LJ, enough for everything that they've done. So I'm looking forward to adding some more some more stuff to my my collection. My wife, I got her permission. I asked her, but she I don't think she understands the stuff, you know, the displaying and of the racing stuff and what it means. I was trying to explain it to her because it's like to her, it's like just stuff that's sitting there that costs money that, you know, is just being stored or displayed. So, and I get it. But like to us, it means something because we're huge race fans and it's something we can pass on to our kids or family or whatever we need to do. So, or whatever down the road. So, but either way, yeah, I'm happy that all three of us ended up ultimately getting a part of that car. And the Racing Warehouse, Emily was super easy to work with. I messaged her, that I made a deal with them, and yeah, so I thank them a lot. Like you said, Dave, that, you know, and Bobby's got a shirt on like I do, embroidered. The Armadillo, they've done a lot of stuff. Eric and all them at the Racing Warehouse. So I greatly thank them and appreciate, you know, the stuff that they do for not only us but racing fans in general. I mean, and not just Jeremy Clements fans, but I mean they do cater somewhat to Jeremy Clements fans, especially with all the hats and stuff. And then speaking of that, today Emily posted a new hat.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that's not fair at all.
right. I'm like,
they're like, "Hey, we only got 5 of these in stock," and I'm like,
yeah,
"Are you serious?" And they're such cool hats.
they're
I
like
got
the
one.
North. Did you? They're
Yeah.
like the North Carolina blue, Nordic Logistics blue. I was like, those are really badass hats.
That's why I got one.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I saw Jessica got one too.
yeah, I saw
Yeah, they were
Jess-
sold
yeah.
out. I took the last one.
Right.
So I was like, I can't push my luck and order one of those too. So I had to pass. I'm sure they may make them again or something. It's awesome. I mean, like I said, not just for Jeremy Clements fans, but for all race fans. The amount of sheet metal and, you know, die cast or whatever that they do, and by buying the stuff from them, a portion of the money goes back to the race team to help them stay on the tracks. So that's really important for like a team like Jeremy Clements, who's independently owned and relies on that stuff. I mean, reskinning a car, I know how much it costs to do a late model, like at the grassroots level, local level, I can't even imagine what it is for a Cup car or Xfinity car. I mean, I thought it was ridiculous for a late model. It's crazy. So, but obviously it's a necessary thing that they need. So by offsetting some of the costs by selling the race used stuff, that's a genius idea. It's a win-win for Eric and Emily at the Racing Warehouse and the race teams. So
Everybody except for me. Financially, will never
yeah.
recover from any of this.
No.
Yeah.
So,
But it's so badass that I can't. All right. What does Stacy say, Bobby? Yeah.
no, it ain't even Stacy. So,
Oh, okay.
so I'm sitting here and I keep looking at Dave, and I'm looking at this effing chicken that is staring at me right now.
Oh yeah.
And this is on the Racing Warehouse right now, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, it's got the JCR on the flag,
He's got
51,
the
I
little
think it is.
flag that says.
Yeah. I saw that today. I think they posted that yesterday or today.
Yeah, too bad it's not Michigan, because if it was Michigan, I'd buy it all day long.
Yeah, it's the Indy
It's
one, right?
Indy.
Yeah.
But
So,
no, I just, when I see this, and I know Dave knows where I'm gonna go with this. When I see this, and I see the picture that's above it with the team, and everybody signing it, and I see the picture of me and my dad beside that. My dad told me, he goes, "That's gonna be a once in a lifetime opportunity." He goes, "You may never get to do that again." He goes, embrace that. And Rob and I got to embrace that. And I tried so hard to get him to come to Pocono with us. And he just physically couldn't. And now I see this, and it makes me happy and sad at the same time. And I told Mark that, because that's always something that I've wanted to do with him. And I never got to. So all of this stuff I have on my walls, the amount of hero cards and the pit passes and stuff like that I was able to do so far. I can't thank everybody enough. I can't thank JCR enough. I can't thank Jeremy enough. It's something that I never thought that I'd be doing. Who would have thought, honestly? The shirts, the logo, the podcast in general.
Right.
This
I
was
mean, when we started,
guys.
when we started 37 shows ago, now we're on 38. I would have never guessed this.
Nope.
I think I came on in show probably 3 or 4. Yeah. So, show number, this will be my 34th show technically. Right. Being a part of this, never in a million years, would Bobby and Rob reach out to me with just being cool Jeremy Clemens fans. And
if you really want to know the story behind it.
No, that's
No, we have time. This is what section 2 is about.
Okay. But yeah, I get a call from, all right, Bobby, I'll let you.
No, go ahead. So segment 2 is brought to you by Spartan Waste. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. So, I know this crazy guy, just because of his name, and, there's always thumbs up. And, every time there's a, JCR piece on there, there's always a thumbs up, and, I would show something up, that I got. All right, thumbs up, but, it just happened that I had stolen something from Bobby, it wasn't intentional. I honestly did not know Bobby or Rob at that time, and then all of a sudden, I get some hate mail, and I'm like,
I wouldn't call it hate mail, shit.
Yeah,
I remember this day. I can say how pissed he was.
Oh yeah,
salty as shit.
For you to reach out to, I'm gonna call myself at that point in time a complete and total stranger. We all kind of knew each other, being Jeremy Clemens fans, because there's enough of us. but there's not a ton of us. It's not
Right.
like, Jeremy's Junior or, Kevin Harvick. They're just, there's not millions and millions of fans. But anyways, to get the story back going, the Racing Warehouse had a sale, and for you guys that don't know, I'm only about 15 if I'm running the speed limit away from TRW. So I've literally got to make a right, a left, a right, and go down about 3 miles, and they're there. So I've been going there since we moved here. So it's got to be going on 9, 10 years now. So I see this nose and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. It was the show car that Jeremy had brought for Fan Day for the Racing Warehouse, and it was a show car. It went to the NASCAR Hall of Fame, because of what it was and the charities, and then it ended up at TRW for the Fan Day. And then it ended up at TRW again because it smacked the wall too damn hard. But so long story short, there's a white and red nose that I know you guys have seen behind me, and I wish I knew we were going to bring this up because I would have left it up
No,
just
you're
so.
good.
But yeah, that's how I originally met Bobby. Was they had a sale, and
We came
We-
to the point where I was buying it as he swiped it from the store.
because they had a sale and it was one of their first, like, now it's a regular thing for bumpers and noses to be 50% off, or
Uh-huh.
offer up. Now it's routine, but this is when they first started really getting momentum and getting bigger accounts with NASCAR teams. So they were getting quite a lot of inventory. I had been going there since people were pretty much trading stuff for stuff. If you were a Denny Hamlin fan and somebody traded a Denny Hamlin fan, or Denny Hamlin piece in for say a Kyle Busch thing, or a senior thing, even back then, you could still find pieces of seniors car every once in a while. And but it was the first sale and we actually broke the website.
Yep.
So Bobby has, I'm going to say, my bumper, just to piss him off a little bit, my bumper in his cart. And I'm closer to the store than obviously he is, from Ohio. And I've been friends with him for quite some time. But,
I had it in my shopping cart. I was literally paying for the damn thing. Like I was in the payment screen, typing my information in, just doing my thing.
I think I might have been even on the phone while he was
You
doing
were on the
this.
phone with me when I was doing it because I'm like, I'm buying this freaking bumper. Like, how cool is this?
Yeah, that's the Shriners charity, the bumper.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I'm buying this thing. The website crashes. I text Eric and I'm like, "Yo, I'm trying to buy this thing. It's like all my information was in it." He goes, "Oh, Dave just bought it." Who the F is Dave? Like, so I turn around and I knew who Dave was after he posted it, and I'm like, this is cool. Like, he gets this one. I got the one I got, and I got the full bumper. Like, Dave's is cut at the lights. Mine's the actual all the way around. Like mine, I could hook the contingency panel right to it. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
And or you know what I mean, like where the fender goes up, like my old one. I could have hooked it right up to it.
Yep, the
But
front quarters.
yeah. So mine's actually the whole thing. So if it wants to piss Dave off, Dave got that one. I got the one that I got, and I love the one I got. But I like giving Dave shit for it because it was literally in my cart. I was buying the thing, and with the website crashed, and Dave went, "Bye bye."
Yeah, I think the picture I had posted was, I think it was either in front or behind the car,
You
or
were
a
holding it
picture,
like this.
yeah, or a picture of me, because back then, they had a lot of fan pictures, up on their website, and everybody was always amazed of the amount of shit or stuff that fit in the Chevy Camaro, and they're like, "There's no way you can get it in there." I'm like, "Watch me," and you know, everything in my basement besides hoods have fit in the Camaro. So if you're in the market for an SUV, buy a Chevy Camaro. You can shove two little ones in the back seat and a hood or a NASCAR contingency panel.
But yeah, Dave and I became good friends over that whole transaction, and Eric thinks that's funny now, which we do too.
Right.
But it's I keep going back to this because I would have never ever thought that our little podcast would be on Jeremy Clements' race car, and we'd actually have the piece to say, "Hey, we were on that race car." And I will take this one day to a track and have Jeremy sign it, personalize it, and it'll stay here forever. And I'm sure Dave will do the same thing.
No,
No?
I'll just drive it down to the shop.
I was
You
just
can do
gonna
that.
say Dave's gonna just go to the shop
Yeah, you
because
can
he's
do
not
that
that
too.
far away. So
But yeah. Um
To
but yeah,
to Dave, thanks for the support.
yeah. But no, I really appreciate it to everybody.
Yep.
So Rob, we're gonna let you do segment 3 and segment 4 with Kylie. Unless you want me to do segment 4 with Kylie.
no, I can do them.
And then
I was just gonna say that could also have been story time with Dave for today
yeah,
too.
sure.
Yeah.
We're having fun. Obviously, I'm not wearing the Jeremy Clements hat today. I'm wearing my dad's number 3 hat.
And it just happens that I'm wearing the
Yep.
Racing Warehouse hat. But
And I'm wearing my new Alliance race team hat.
right,
But
which
yeah, it's
we're
just
which we're jealous about because I don't have one yet.
I thought
actually
you guys had the black
no.
ones. I have a white
No.
one
No, we
we
have
got
the white
that I
ones.
originally got.
white one.
I like both of them a lot,
Right.
So,
but
yeah,
I don't want to
Ro-
brag about it. So
no, you're
to
good.
make you guys mad.
Not I don't want to brag at all, but if you see this luscious beard, smile, and hat,
All right, so we're gonna take a poll real quick.
beard time with Rob.
Now, hold on. We're gonna take a poll real quick. We got quite a few viewers in the chat, so I'm gonna put this up for discussion while Rob's doing segment 3 and segment 4. If you want Rob to shave his beard,
I knew this was gonna
No.
happen.
put
No.
yes in the chat. If you want Rob to keep his beard or trim it to a goatee, put no.
No. No,
Or
I'll
yes,
vote.
whatever.
I will
So I'm
vote right now.
I already did.
okay.
No.
So Hair Club for Men told me to grow my hair out, and Kenny Wallace told me that if I grow it out long enough, they can remove it from here and put it back up here. So
I think that's exactly what LeBron did.
Jesus.
I
I'm done.
don't
All
even
right,
want to
go to
Okay.
segment 3.
Well, on that note,
Brought to you by Guy Gale.
got Gale. So segment 3, Xfinity Series race recap for Jeremy Clements Racing from Watkins Glen International, brought to you by Action RV. So this weekend, the race for Jeremy was actually a really good race until it wasn't. The last, I don't know, it was like maybe the last, well, there was 2 green white checkers, so probably the last like 8 to 10 laps, I would say. But either way, so Jeremy's car was really loose in practice. He was P21 on the board. They did some adjustments. Jeremy ended up going out twice in for qualifying because they did group qualifying. They did an adjustment, Mark did, and the adjustment improved the car a little bit, and Jeremy was able to improve his time up to P18. But the car was still trending loose. So stage one of the race, Jeremy started P17 as Shane Van Gisbergen. The 97 car had to go to the rear because of adjustments unapproved. So he moved up a spot. So during the first stage, it was he was doing really good. His car was tight, then loose back to the gas. They made some adjustments. The car was pretty decent, still was loose, but it was manageable, and he was doing good. He was racing for the most part in the top 10 to 15 during the first stage, and he ended up finishing P10 and getting a stage point. The second stage, the car continued to be loose. They continued to work on it. Again, he finished P10 and got another stage point. Stage 3, when he came at the end of stage 2, coming into the pits to pit, they got serviced, or Jeremy's car got serviced, and when he was leaving the pit, he got caught for speeding. So as a result, he had to restart P33. They at that time decided to top off, and they wanted to try to conserve gas as much as possible. Jeremy's car again continued to be a little bit loose. Lap 45, Justin Allgaier, the number 7 car, went off course in one of the corners into the sand trap, got caught where he couldn't get out. He had to be pulled out. The caution came out, and Mark originally told Jeremy to stay out to try to play the fuel game and get some track position.
I think he froze, don't you?
Yeah, I lost him there.
That's what I thought. Yep, we lost him. So give me 1 sec. I'm gonna try to get him back in here. All right, you good?
And I apologize. I have no idea why
You
that
froze.
happened. It froze. It just kicked me out.
Yeah, you completely froze. You were like, "Oop." So
So should I say the famous line from Anchorman?
Go at it.
No, I'm not going to say it.
no. So we heard you up to where you were.
Yeah, with Justin Allgaier, where
Yep.
So they came in and topped off, and Mark advised they were 2 laps short from being able to finish the race under green, but they needed to max save. There was another caution at lap 78. Matt DiBenedetto's number 38 car stalled on track because of a mechanical failure. At that time, they stayed out and moved up to P8. At that point, under caution, they ran enough laps, so it ended up going into overtime and doing a green-white checkered. Lap 80 was the restart, and in turn 1, everybody lost their minds and decided to go like 4 wide, bunch up, and long story short, there was a big pile up. Jeremy got punted by the 48 car Parker Kligerman, and as a result, it pushed Jeremy right front in and did some damage. Ultimately,
not to interrupt you, but those rumble strips did absolutely nothing going into the front stretch.
Oh no, not at all. No, not at all. And even I heard some of the Cup guys saying that in practice they were testing it just to see. They said if you were driving straight over them, it made 0 difference. But if you your back end was sliding a little bit, it made a little bit of difference because it would catch the tire and you would hop a little bit. But
Okay.
realistically, it did absolutely nothing. Not to the extent that NASCAR wanted it to keep
But
everybody
tire-
out of there.
The tires were that wide.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
So, but either way, Jeremy got punted, and it ended up going into a red flag. Anthony Alfredo, the 5 car in that wreck, blew his radiator and oil reservoir, and he drove back to the pits. So the whole course was full of fluids. So they red flagged the track. Jeremy radioed, "Hey, I can't turn this car because of the damage." There was like a 22-minute red flag because it took them that long to clean up the mess on the track. When it went back to yellow and they were able to move and the pits were open, they pitted, they fixed the damage, they got fuel and tires. They restarted in the green white checker at P11. And on the white flag lap coming to the checker, there was another wreck and Jeremy was involved in it. And then unfortunately, he ended up finishing P18. You know, Mark and the team had the number 51 Nordic Logistics one-stop Chevy dialed in, and Jeremy drove his ass off. I mean, they played the fuel strategy perfectly until it wasn't with the 2 late cautions. Jeremy definitely had a top 10 or higher car. He ran in the top 10 for a majority of the day. It's just more of this damn bad luck, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But a P18 is better than a DNF or like a P30 or worse. So we'll take that.
I'll definitely take Saturday's race as a
yeah.
win in my book.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. They got top 10s in both the first 2 stages. They earned 2 stage points. That's the most that and the best that they've done this year. As far as I can remember, there's only one other race, maybe 2, where they got a stage point. So
Yeah, I think outside of Atlanta where they finished, what, 6th?
Yeah, it was Atlanta is the one race I think they got 1 stage point in one of the stages or 1 or 2 stage, but either way, this was one of the better races that they had.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's really good at road courses. So this is sort of in his wheelhouse type of track. It was a good track to try to get back on track, no pun intended, but he you know, it was a good day. Everybody, you know, did a good job. And the exciting and interesting thing from the race is Connor Zilic. He's an 18-year-old phenom that he had, what was it, 1 start for Spire in the 7 truck, I think at Coda. I think if I remember right, he was on the pole, and then he overdrove one of the corners.
Yeah, he didn't make the first lap the first turn on the first lap.
Yeah, he overdrove the first corner, and then he got a penalty, but he ended up finishing, I think, in the top 10 or 15 in that race. But the kid has won like 5 of the last 6 ARCA races. He ends up, this was his first start in the number 88 Junior Motorsports Chevy. He won the pole and he ended up winning the race. In the first stage, he had almost an 11-second lead on the field. Yeah. It was, I mean, the announcers were like, this is just unheard of. I mean, he just had a rocket ship, and the kid, like I said, is super talented. I mean, he won as part of the Rolex 24 hours at Daytona.
Yeah, he's won 2 Rolexes.
Yeah, I mean, and there was another like team, like multi-hour race that he was part of and won. I mean, the kid is, for being just turning 18, he's super uber talented. On Saturday before the race, he was added as a member of Team Red Bull as one of their team athletes. So I foresee in the future Red Bull maybe returning to NASCAR, maybe in the near future as a sponsor. I know SVG or Shane Van Gisbergen is when he was in the supercars overseas. That was his main sponsor. He's still a member of the Red Bull team. So maybe those two both will be sponsored by Red Bull. I don't know, but you know, the kid goes out and he just lays the wood to the whole field.
Yeah.
And he even he got a penalty, and the penalty ended up ultimately helping him win the race because it helped him on the fuel mileage strategy, where he actually just had enough fuel just to finish the race. From what I understand, he ran out of fuel shortly after he did his burnout or crossed the finish line or something. I wasn't able to see the end of the race, unfortunately. But yeah, it was just a good fun race, like a lot of the Xfinity races are. So, but this week, Jeremy will be racing this Friday night at Bristol Motor Speedway for the fall night race in the Xfinity Series number 51 Chevy One-Stop Stores All South Electric livery. This is one of Jeremy's favorite tracks. Let's go get that win at the last Great Coliseum and that badass Dagger trophy. That Bristol night race is one of my bucket list races that I want to go to. I'm a huge fan of short track racing, but Bristol Speedway just seems like it'd be a fun environment to watch a race at, especially the night race. So, and I think, you know, I feel good about this race for Jeremy and his team. You know how they did at Watkins Glen. You know, some progress. I feel good. I think they're gonna run well this weekend. So, but do you guys have anything to add to the race recap? Otherwise, just remember the Xfinity race is Friday night. I believe the truck race is Thursday night. Xfinity's Friday, and then Cup is Saturday night this week. And they're all night races.
The only thing that I can put on is, Saturday I got off of work at probably 5:07, and I sat in the parking lot because I still had Wi-Fi, so I was watching it on my phone, and it took an hour and 10 minutes to do, 8 laps, I believe it was. So yeah, I texted Stacy. I said, I'm still in she said, what are you doing, or something like that, because usually I'd be home. And I'm like, well, I'm still in the parking lot at work. She's like, oh no, what's wrong? And it was just me watching the race. That's how good of a race it was for, and even Sunday. I mean, I know we don't talk a lot about Cup, but that was a good race. For a road course, I'm not a huge road course guy. I don't think I'll ever be. But it was exciting, to watch. Usually, I'm used to the old format where, like, was Zilich, the 11-second, lead was a norm, 10 years ago, before they had the stage break.
Right.
A car would, be almost a half lap ahead, and you're just kind of boring. But I think NASCAR's done a real good job of, and I think the drivers have too, of just learning how to run these road courses.
Well, and that's the one thing too, so with the Cup cars, they had those different tires that supposedly fell off more. So they had to manage their tires, and I some of the drivers said it didn't really make a difference. It didn't seem like it made a difference, but I don't know.
I did not see an 8-second drop off.
No, I didn't either. But the end of the race was really good. I mean, Buescher and Shane Van Gisbergen going back and forth, and it was a good race. I mean, it wasn't dirty. They raced, clean, and used, SVG got into the wall and the S's, and Busher was able to get up to him, and he pushed him in the bumper a little bit and moved him
Yep.
to pass him. So it's, yeah. And then SVG, it was funny. One of the, I don't remember who it was, but one of the reporters asked Chris Busher if he was worried when he saw SVG come into victory lane to congratulate him. And Busher's like, I mean, if there's anybody bigger than me, it would be him. But I don't think there was any reason for him to be mad. But at the same time, when you see a big guy like that coming and you get that in your back of your mind, and he goes, it's probably the same way like when I do that to somebody else, one of my competitors. So I thought that was sort of funny, but SVG just came over and said, hey, great race, mate, or something along those lines. I think it was. So, but either way, yeah, I mean, out of all the road courses, Watkins Glen is, I heard somebody refer to it as more like a super speedway short track type combo, because the speeds that they're able to run on the track. So,
Right.
But yeah, I agree. And then once again, we're biased, but we like the Xfinity series, and I think the racing was again awesome this weekend. So, but to get on to segment 4, Kylie Glick Racing race recap brought to you by Nordic Logistics. Kylie was off this past weekend. Her next race is on October 5th at All American Speedway in Roseville, California. Kylie will be racing her NASCAR Junior Late Model and will be starting her first Cars Tour West Pro Late Model race. So also on that, the racing schedule for that night is the ARCA West Series. So there'll be a lot of really talented and good drivers in the pits that night, and should be a lot of really good racing. So Kylie will try to increase her points lead in the junior late model division that night. There's this race on October 5th, and there's one in November. So there's only 2 races left. She has a 9-point lead on the second place person. So she's working towards a championship in the junior late model division. If you're interested in purchasing any of Kylie Glick Racing merchandise, please go to the Kylie Glick Racing Facebook page. Click on the link in her recent post about her new merchandise, and it will bring up everything that she has for sale: hats, t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, you name it, it's on there. Hero cards. And then also Kylie wanted to have us thank everyone that voted for her in the Hoosier Heroes finalist vote. She will not know until closer to December, when the PRI show is in Indianapolis, where the 12 finalists will be revealed at that time. So stay tuned, and we will definitely let you know on our platform, and also I'm certain Kylie will also have it on her platforms, also on social media. So on that note, that is it for the racing recap for Kylie. Again, just keep following on her social media posts, X, and Facebook. And I think she has Instagram too. I can't remember, but Bobby, you would know.
Yeah, she does.
Okay, so
She's on
yeah, just
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter,
yeah,
Facebook.
yeah, Facebook. So yeah, just follow along on her platforms, and go buy some of her merchandise. So
All right, so
that's it for me.
we're not gonna be on too much longer. Dave looks like he's ready to fall asleep.
No, I'm sitting in a kitchen chair. You know, the boy took his gaming chair back away from me. So I'm sitting in a old chair and it's getting rough.
All right. Well, I'll make it fast.
I could say,
So,
we would never even know, Dave. You could be sitting on a commode and we'd never even know.
yeah.
Yeah, no idea. No,
No?
yeah, but no.
So, next week we will be having a special guest on the show. Every week's a special guest, but this week coming up, we have our good friend Keaston France from Team Penske. Talk to us about Austin Cindric's historical run, running third in points right now. So pretty damn exciting that Austin is coming out and showing everybody up.
Yeah,
Reminder,
Austin is doing a great job.
he is.
I've been impressed. Their team has been on fire the
Yeah,
last couple of
seems
weeks.
to be real stealthy,
Yeah.
and methodic. It's not like, coming out there and, swinging for the fences. It's methodical. I think, it's kind of the old fashioned way that like Denny Hamlin used to do it, where,
Yep.
it was all right. He's up in the top 5, and then, but you really didn't pay attention to it, So and he's a young driver. And it's not Joey Logano, so I'm fine
It's
with that.
consistency. Consistency is what's helping him. I mean, that's been the downfall of his team, is just being inconsistent in general.
Right.
They just weren't able to make consistent runs. And they're firing on all cylinders right now. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a great guy. And I'm happy for him. I hope he's able to do well and go far in the playoffs.
All right. So cups, Anna Amora Designs, $15. Oh, my bad. That's t-shirts for $15 on sticky gears. My mistake. The cups, Anna's still selling for $35. If you are interested in them, if you can't see them, they are pretty cool looking. It does not come with Jeremy Clement's signature, but those are really
But get on there and buy some stuff from her. Christmas is unfortunately right around the corner,
right.
and she wants to go see Skillet. So let's make this happen.
So these pretty sweet looking.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So that's our sticker. She got our sticker on a Yeti. That's pretty badass. I ain't even gonna lie. But we have the famous Area 51 Racing 5-inch stickers. We've got the Area 51 stack of Area 51. Sorry, I'm not trying to flip you guys off. Area 51 Racing Podcast stickers, the small ones. These are $4 a piece. We have a whole slew of them. So let me know if you guys want them. All proceeds go to Area 51 to keep the podcast going. $4 for those, $8 for the big ones. We also would like to give a shout out to Gale. They are partners of Area 51 Racing Podcast.
That, according to the vote, says that Rob gets to keep his beard and continue to use Gale products.
No, nobody voted.
Yes.
So
I just got booted out, and I'm glad I came back in at the right time. I think the count is I should not shave, and they like the gray beard. So
I'm reading the chat. None of that. You're full.
Well, no,
anyway,
I'm reading right
anyways, so Gale, go to gale.com or galebeard.com to place an order. At the checkout, enter the discount code Area 51 and get 15% off your order and free shipping. Remember, guys, make them say it. Gale.
Golly.
Golly.
Check out Racing Warehouse for your sheet metal for Jeremy Clements and any other driver you're looking for. Don't forget Armadillo Apparel for all your t-shirts, shirts like that, sweatshirts, whatever you could think of. They have these amazing hats. I want to give a shout out to all of our partners who make this podcast possible. Spartan Waste, Fox Sports Spartanburg, Impel Union, Alliance Driveway Solutions, First Pacific Funding, Elite Towing and Recovery, Whitetail Smokeless, Fly Inform Concrete Structures, Runner's Roost, Matman Designs, Action RV, Booze Pops, Nordic Logistics, Wings, etc., Armadillo, Apparel, Anamora Designs, Gale, Surefit Companies, High Speed Auto, Kylie Glick Racing, Jeremy Clements and Jeremy Clements Racing, and I forgot one other person. The Racing Warehouse. Thank you guys for I've been talking to Eric. I can't thank you guys enough. Emily, Eric, I know you're watching right now. Thank you guys for everything that you guys have done. Absolutely amazing. Hopefully I can come up with a surprise for Tweedledee and Tweedledoo over here for Christmas. I'm trying. I don't know if I can pull it off, but I'm trying. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody that makes this podcast amazing. The fans, Rob, Dave, thank you guys. And like I said, episode 38 means a lot to me because of my dad. And I can't thank you all enough for the love, the support, and everything that you guys have done for these past couple weeks. I am back, and it's good to be back.
It's nice to have you back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back, Bobby.
Thank you. It's been too long.
And the viewers, I'm pretty sure are really glad you're back because Tweedledee and Tweedledoo or whatever you just called us, we aren't as good at doing the computer stuff like you are with videos and all that stuff.
So I was going to play the Booze Pop jingle, but I can't seem to get it to work. I have to find it somehow. Like the file that I did have is not able to be played. So, Rob, if you can end up sending that to me at some point in the group chat, I can have it for next week's show. But I kind of would like if you guys are okay with this, I would like to post a picture if I can.
Go ahead.
If I can find it. I'm trying to find it. I have to get on Facebook to do it. So there's a picture on Facebook of me and my dad. And Ray Stevens knows about it. And it's one of those things like it was one of those things that it wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened. And I think it made my dad very proud that I went down and seen him. If I can actually find this picture, it's right here. So I flew down and went and seen Dad. So I don't know if you guys can see that really, really well or not, but that is my dad with his dog Nora. And then I flew down with my friend Monty, and we went and seen Dad at the airport. And obviously you can see I have my Fly Inform gear on. And he told me, he goes, I don't know where you came in to fly from, but he goes, I appreciate you coming in and seeing me. And it was the last time I was able to fly into Fostoria and see him, but this man got me into racing, if you guys can't see this. So this is my dad here with the Rusty Wallace car, and then obviously I was a Rusty Wallace fan, and I snuck behind the little fence thing, and I took the picture with the Earnhardt car, and the guy goes, "Hey, you can't be there," and my dad goes, "He's just a little kid, let him take a picture." So I got a picture, behind the fence with the Earnhardt car. So that was kind of nice to be able to do that. I seen you sent it to me. I just tried to click on it and it still will not play. So something's going on. I think it's just a glitch. But let me give it a whirl real quick. Give me 1 second, guys. See if I can get this to work. Sorry about the delay.
It's a veteran underdog ice cream truck. Moves pop, baby, it's moves pop, baby. Bringing people together. One booze pop at a time. Let's go. We're gonna rock out with our pops out, baby. It's the only pop that keeps you warm. You can rock out till go to boozepop.com.
All right, guys, that is episode 38. This one's for you, Dad. Y'all have a good night, and we will see you guys next week with Keyston France on episode 39. Y'all have a good night, and we will see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks for having us, guys.
Yep. Thanks. Take care. Peace. Have a great week.